Hi, my name is Alyssa. I'm 31, no kids, married for 5 years, together for 8. I guess I'm here to admit something I haven't said out loud to anyone. I cheated on my husband, not because I fell in love or was bored or drunk. I did it because he kissed someone else first. I told myself it was revenge, just one time to get even. But now it's been 3 months with the same guy, and I don't know if I can stop. It started last year when my husband, let's call him Jake, went on a company retreat. He works in tech, kind of a project manager type, the kind of place that does those team building offsites where everyone gets hammered and plays trust games in the woods. He was gone 3 nights. Nothing unusual. But when he came back, something felt off. He was trying too hard to act normal, overly affectionate, asking about my day like he was reading from a script. I ignored it, mostly because I wanted to believe everything was fine. A few days later, we were watching Netflix, and his phone lit up on the couch next to me. I wasn't even snooping. I just saw it light up with a text. Hey, I can't stop thinking about the other night. I didn't recognize the number, but it had a name, Cara. I asked him who she was. He went quiet, locked the phone. After about 10 seconds of staring at the wall, he said it was just a kiss. My heart dropped. He told me they were drunk, that it meant nothing, just a stupid mistake. According to him, it happened during some party on the second night. Everyone was drinking. She made a move, and it just happened. He swore he pulled away, that it was quick, that it didn't go further. I asked all the obvious questions. Did he want her? Did he ever think about doing more? Had this happened before? He said no over and over. And maybe I believed him. Or maybe I didn't want to know the full truth, because the half-truth already hurt enough. I cried for days. We had fights, then hugs, then more fights. Eventually, I told him I forgave him and we tried to move on. For a while, it felt like we might actually be okay. He changed teams at work, so he wouldn't see her. He deleted her number. He started taking me on date nights again, bought flowers, made more effort in bed. Ironically, he became a better husband after he messed up. But me, I was different. Something inside me cracked. It wasn't even about the kiss anymore. It was about the fact that he could choose to hurt me and still expect everything to go back to normal. And worse, I did. I put a smile on my face, acted like everything was fine, played the part of the forgiving wife. But in the back of my head, I kept thinking, why do I have to be the only one who stays loyal? A few months later, I met someone at the gym. He's not a trainer or anything, just a regular guy I'd seen around for months. Tall, in good shape, kind of quiet. One day, we ended up on side-by-side treadmills. I was wearing one of those days-old tank tops and feeling gross, but he made a joke about the music in my headphones, and it broke the ice. His name is Logan. He's 37, divorced, works in finance. Not my type, but easy to talk to. No pressure, just conversation. Friendly. I wasn't looking to cheat. At least that's what I told myself. But every time we talked, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, like I was being seen, not as someone's wife, just me. About 2 weeks after that first real chat, he asked if I wanted to grab coffee after a workout. I said yes without even thinking. I told Jake I was running errands. We sat in Logan's car outside of Starbucks for over an hour, talking about nothing and everything. The next time we met, it was drinks. That's when he touched my hand just for a second, but it felt electric. I didn't pull away. I let it happen, and I knew exactly what I was doing. The first time we hooked up, it wasn't romantic. No candles, no music. It was fast and messy in his apartment, after a dinner we didn't even finish. I hated myself afterward. I cried in the bathroom while he was asleep. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized who I was. I swore it would be the last time, but it wasn't. A week later, I went back. Then again, and again. It's been 3 months now. Jake has no idea. The worst part? He's still being great, supportive, kind, more present than ever. But I'm not the same. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. At first, I told myself it was about power. Being with Logan felt like flipping the script. Jake betrayed me, and now I wasn't just a loyal wife sitting at home forgiving everything. I was the one with the secret. I was the one with the double life. I thought it would make me feel in control again. But after a while, I stopped thinking about revenge. I started looking forward to Logan. Not even intimacy. That honestly got better over time. But that wasn't the core of it. It was how he looked at me, how he paid attention, how he touched my back when I talked like he actually wanted to hear me. Jake hadn't done that in years. Not really. I started doing things I never thought I'd do. I kept a second bag of clothes in the trunk. I changed in public bathrooms. I memorized Logan's cologne so I could avoid bringing it home. I silenced my texts. I started wearing matching underwear again, but not for my husband. I became someone who lies by habit, without blinking, without guilt. The first few times Jake hugged me after I'd just come from Logan's place, I thought I was going to throw up, but that faded. Guilt got replaced by calculation, strategy, schedules. And weirdly, things at home were good. Like, better than good. Jake kept doing everything right. Cooking, complimenting me, planning a weekend trip to Big Bear. He even said he was thinking about us starting a family next year. I smiled. I nodded. I played along. But something in me felt cold, not numb, more like removed, like I was watching my own life from the outside. The truth is, I started enjoying having both. Jake gave me stability, a home, comfort. Logan gave me energy, confidence, excitement. And most days, I didn't want to give up either. I know how awful that sounds, but this isn't a confession meant to beg for forgiveness. I'm just being honest. There's this one moment that sticks with me. It was a Friday night. Jake was grilling in the backyard, and I was sitting on the porch with a glass of wine. He was talking about some new client at work, rambling about budgets and timelines, and I realized I wasn't listening at all. I was thinking about Logan, about how just 2 hours earlier he had me pinned against his kitchen counter, and I felt nothing. Not guilt, not fear, just blank. Jake walked over and kissed my forehead, said something like, "I'm glad we're in such a good place again." I said, "Me too." It hit me later that night, how easy to become the lie. Not just about where I was going or who I was texting, but in everyday moments. Little smiles. I love you. Dinner conversations. Future plans. Everything was half true, filtered. I wasn't just hiding an affair. I was slowly turning into a different version of myself, one that Jake didn't know and probably never would. Logan doesn't ask for more. That's the dangerous part. He knows I'm married. He's not trying to take me away from Jake. He doesn't get clingy or emotional. We have a routine now. Certain days, certain hours. No questions. He respects the rules. But I think he's starting to want more. I see it in how he holds eye contact a little longer. How he texts me goodnight now, instead of just, "See you Friday." How he lingers when we say goodbye. And the truth is, I'm not sure what I want anymore. I don't know if I'll ever tell him. People ask me that sometimes. Do you think you'll ever tell Jake? And I never have a clear answer. Because I don't know. Here's the part one didn't expect. Some days, I want to get caught. Not because I want to hurt Jake. I don't. But this double life is wearing me down. It's exhausting to live in two worlds and pretend this is all temporary. Sometimes I imagine just sitting him down and saying it all. Telling him, "You kissed someone and I never really forgave you. I tried to be strong. I tried to be the good wife. But I broke, too. And I kept breaking. And now I'm not sure I want to be fixed." That's what most people don't understand. Especially the ones who shout, "Once a cheater, always a cheater." It didn't start because I wanted attention or excitement. It started because the person I trusted most made me feel small, replaceable. I didn't leave. I stayed. But I needed something to feel like mine again. So I took something back. And now I don't know how to give it up. Jake's not an idiot. He started noticing. It began with small things. An inconsistency in a story. A shift in my energy. I played it off with fake smiles, with excuses about stress, work, hormones. He believed me. But he started watching more closely. The hardest part is, I wasn't being reckless. I was meticulous. I deleted everything, used disappearing messages, kept my schedule tight. No obvious signs. No lipstick. No unfamiliar scents. Still, his instincts kicked in. Meanwhile, Logan was shifting too. He wasn't just an escape anymore. He wanted more weekends, real time. Once he asked, "If I asked you to leave him, would you laugh in my face?" I did laugh, but it wasn't a joke. One morning, I woke up at his place and he was making breakfast, smiling at me like we were something real. He said, "You breathe easy when you're with me." And maybe I do. Or maybe it just feels like relief from pretending the rest of the time. It all cracked one night at a birthday dinner. We were out with friends, talking about shows we liked. I slipped up, mentioned something only Logan and I had watched. Jake looked at me, not angry, just blank. The same look he gave me the night he confessed that kiss. When we got home, he didn't even take off his shoes. He asked, "Is there someone else?" I froze. I'd rehearsed this moment, planned my lies, but none of them came out. I deflected. "Why would you ask that?" He told me I'd changed, that I smiled without my eyes, that I pulled away when he reached for me, that I'd become distant, hollow. I cried. I twisted it back around, said I never fully healed from his betrayal, that maybe we were still broken, and I was trying to find myself. He listened, quietly, then went to sleep on the couch. I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I should say it all, just end the lie. But I didn't. And that silence, it might have hurt him more than the truth. Things have been different since then. Cold but polite. We talk like coworkers. "Do you want coffee? I'll be home late." No eye contact. And weirdly, that feels easier than faking intimacy. Even Logan noticed. He asked if something was wrong. Said I'd been off. Offered to back off if it was getting too messy. And for the first time, I didn't have an answer, because I don't know what I want. I cheated not because I was in love, but because I didn't want to feel powerless. But now, this isn't about power. It's about escape. I can't talk to Jake. I can't be honest with Logan. And most days, I can't even look at myself without wondering when I stop being someone I recognize. And yet, part of me clings to the chaos, the risk, the thrill of being in control, even if it's all a lie. I think about ending it with both of them. But I don't, not because I'm afraid of hurting them, because I'm afraid I'll have nothing left. Jake hasn't said anything outright, but he knows. I can feel it. He watches me now, not possessively, just watches, reads my face when I glance at my phone, pays attention. And I realize maybe I was never that good at hiding. Maybe he just trusted me more back then. Last weekend, we were supposed to go to his parents' place for dinner. Nothing special, just a normal family evening. But I told him I felt sick. The truth? I had plans with Logan. We sat in his car in a Target parking lot for 2 hours, talking about nothing. He held my leg. I rested my head on his shoulder. He told me, "I get the real you." And I wanted to cry, because I don't know who that is anymore. I've worn so many masks I've lost track of where the act ends. When I got home, Jake brought me soup, sat on the bed, checked my forehead, said he hoped I'd feel better. And I wanted to scream, not because I felt guilty, but because his kindness made it all worse. If he were angry or cruel, I could justify leaving. But he's still kind, still present. And I'm the one hiding in plain sight. It's like living in a play where I'm both the villain and the victim. And no one's clapping. Logan's been pressing harder. He asked me again, "Why are you still with him? You don't love him." I couldn't answer. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's guilt, or habit, or fear of starting over at 31 with a man I only know in fragments. I didn't plan for this. But here I am. A few nights ago, Jake watched me brush my teeth. Not warmly, just stood in the hallway like he was analyzing a crime scene. Then he turned and walked away. Later, I saw his phone left on the nightstand. His search history was open. He had Googled, "How to know if your wife is cheating." My stomach dropped, and I had two urges: wake him up and confess everything, or grab my bag and disappear. I did neither. I laid there in the dark, heart pounding, hand clenched into a fist under the covers. And for the first time, I felt fear. Not fear of being caught. Fear of what happens after. Because I still don't know what I want. I don't know if I want Jake to forgive me or to scream and throw me out. I don't know if I'd fight for us or just accept it was over. No one tells you this about cheating. It doesn't feel like desire. It feels like drowning in slow motion. It starts with adrenaline and ends in quiet, corrosive decay. I thought I could stop. I thought I had control. But now it's just avoidance. Avoiding choices. Avoiding truth. Avoiding the version of myself I was before all this. Jake still brings me coffee. Still says love you before bed. But it feels like every word is a test. Every silence is a countdown. I think he's waiting for me to break. Or maybe he's waiting to see if I'll force him to be the one who ends it. And maybe I'm waiting too. It happened on a Wednesday. Random. Quiet. No signs, no tension. Jake came home early from work. Said his meeting was canceled. I was in the kitchen, scrolling my phone, wondering if I had time to sneak away and see Logan. After dinner, he dropped his bag, stood there for a second, and said, "Can we talk?" Just those 3 words. Calm. No tension in his voice. But I knew. He sat at the table like he was interviewing me, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Are you in love with someone else?" Not, "Are you cheating?" Not, "What's going on?" Just straight to the center. And I froze. It was the one moment I should have been honest. After everything, all the lies, all the guilt, all the silence, this was the opening, the clean shot, and I couldn't take it. Instead, I said, "No, of course not. Why would you even ask that?" He stared at me for a few seconds. Then he nodded just once. Not because he believed me. I could see on his face that he didn't. But because he was done trying. He got up, went to the bedroom, and closed the door. I stood there in the kitchen with the fridge humming and my hands shaking. And I realized I'm not in control anymore. I lost that months ago. Now I'm just reacting, hiding from a wave that's already crashing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying it. His voice, that question, the pause before I answered. What would have happened if I just told him the truth? Would he have yelled? Left? Broken down? Would I feel free or just empty? Because the truth is, I don't even know what I want to happen. Do I want him to leave me so I don't have to decide? Do I want him to fight for us even though I stopped fighting a long time ago? Do I want Logan to step in and make the choice for me? Every option feels like a trap, and every path leads to someone getting hurt. Logan could feel something was off the next day. I canceled on him again. Said Jake wasn't feeling well and needed me home. It was a lie, obviously. But Logan didn't push this time. He just said, "You're slipping away. I can feel it." And he's right, because I don't even know if I want to be with him either. What started as rebellion turned into obsession, then routine, and now confusion. He gave me something I needed in the moment. Attention, excitement, an escape hatch. But what happens when the escape becomes its own kind of prison? Jake barely spoke to me for 2 days. We move around the house like strangers, passing each other in hallways, sharing a bathroom, making coffee at opposite end of counter. No fights, no friction, just distance. On Friday night, I found him sitting in the garage drinking beer with the door cracked open. He didn't look up when I stepped in. I said, "I'm here if you want to talk." He took a sip and said, "I used to think I knew you better than anyone." Then he looked at me, just one long look, and said, "But now I think maybe I never really did." I didn't respond because what could I say that would make it worse? He's right. He doesn't know me anymore. And neither do I. There's a moment in every lie where it turns into something else. Not just a secret, but a story you're stuck performing. And the more you perform it, the more it warps you. I've become the version of myself that lies out of reflex. That kisses Jake goodnight and checks Logan's messages in the bathroom. That smiles in front of friends while wondering if they can tell something's wrong. And now I don't know how to be anyone else. Here's the truth. I don't want to choose. Because choosing means facing the consequences. It means either blowing up my marriage and breaking a good man's heart, or cutting off the one person who makes me feel alive again, even if it's messy and wrong. But not choosing is worse. It's cowardice dressed up as caution. And deep down, I know this won't last much longer. Jake's watching. Logan's waiting, and I'm just delaying the inevitable. I didn't plan to confess that night. Honestly, I wasn't planning anything anymore. I was just floating from lie to lie, excuse to excuse, living in split screen, one foot in my marriage, the other in my affair, and both sinking. It was a Saturday. Jake had been quiet all day, not cold, just numb. We went through the motions, made breakfast, folded laundry, watched a movie we barely paid attention to. And then, out of nowhere, he turned to me and said, "Are you going to tell me, or do I have to ask again?" That was it. No anger, no raised voice. Just a man who was tired of pretending. And I knew I couldn't lie this time. I stared at the floor. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. My mouth opened and nothing came out. But he didn't fill the silence. He just waited, gave me space, which somehow made it worse. So I said it quietly, barely audible, "There's someone else." He didn't flinch, didn't curse, didn't throw anything. He just leaned back and nodded like he'd known the answer all along but needed to hear me say it. Needed to prove that his instincts weren't wrong, that the woman in front of him had changed, and he wasn't crazy for feeling it. "How long?" he asked. "A few months." "Do I know him?" "No lie." "Do you love him?" I hesitated. Then I shook my head. "No, I don't think so." Another lie. He got up and walked into the kitchen, poured himself a glass of water, stood there for a long time with his back to me. Then he asked, "Why?" I didn't have a good answer. Still don't. I said, "Because I want to feel like I mattered, like I still had something in me that wasn't just routine, that wasn't just waiting for things to go back to normal." He didn't look at me. He just said I was trying, and I believed him. That's the part that hurts most. He was trying, and I was destroying. We didn't speak the rest of the night. He slept on the couch again. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, finally realizing that there's no version of this where everyone gets out clean. Logan texted me twice that night. I didn't answer. And for the first time since the affair started, I didn't want to see him. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know who I was when I wasn't hiding anymore. The next morning, Jake was gone. No note, no message, just gone. He left his wedding ring on the table. I sat at the kitchen counter and stared at it for what felt like hours. And it hit me. It's not just the cheating. It's the erosion, the slow, daily decision to lie, to withdraw, to disappear while pretending to stay. I didn't just break his trust. I dismantled his sense of home. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to rebuild that. Logan called later that day. Said he felt like something was wrong. I told him, "Jake knows." He was quiet, then asked, "What now?" And I didn't know what to say. Because for months I thought I wanted this. The freedom, the chaos, the fresh start. But now that it's here, it feels hollow. Logan was a doorway. But I'm not sure I want what's on the other side anymore. Here's what no one tells you when you cheat. It's not just your partner you betray. It's the version of yourself you promise them. It's a shared future you silently tear apart. And once it's gone, really gone, you don't get to pick up the same pieces. You're not the same people anymore. Jay came home that night. Didn't say a word. Just walked past me, went into the bedroom, closed the door. The next morning, we sat at the table like strangers. He said, "I'm not ready to talk, but I'm not ready to walk away either. Not yet." And for the first time in weeks, I cried, not out of guilt, but because part of me still hopes there's something left to save, even if I'm not sure I deserve it.